Hello, hello. Welcome back to Finding Spirit with Tabs. I'm your host, Tabs McCaffrey, and I'm a developing medium here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. On this show, I share my own personal experience as I grow and develop my psychic medium abilities, and truly everything and anything between, spiritually related, of course. I like to view myself as a grounded, practical psychic medium, as if those words can all exist together, but that's how I relate to myself. That's how I see myself. That's how I see the information I share. I'm always trying to really come from a grounded approach when sharing this information. So welcome to the show if you are new. All right, before we jump into today's episode, which is a good one, it's one I've been thinking about for a long time. I need to share this with you guys. It is a tool that I've been utilizing for almost a year now, and it has had such a huge impact in my life. I feel like it's time to share it. I feel knowledgeable on this topic now, where the first time I shared it, I was still pretty new at it. Before we jump into the gateway tapes, I want to just do a quick Finding Spirit HQ. I'm going to keep this nice and brief. Our next practice circle is March 26th. It's a great place to meet like-minded people and develop your mediumship abilities. So this is in a safe and encouraging environment. This is held every 3 weeks and it's about 90 minutes long. What we're going to do is discuss like a technique or something new that we're going to be working on. You are encouraged to use that technique or to develop it. If you're not quite there, that's totally fine. You will be given 20 minutes each with a partner in a private Zoom room, and then we come back and we do group discussion and questions. If you have zero mediumship ability, I am recommending that you head over to my Mediumship 101 class. I'm going to be offering this every other month. We have one coming up in April. It's a 4-hour course on a Saturday morning, and it teaches you all the basics, everything you need to know about mediumship, the clair abilities, how to develop, and we're going to include a practice session with a partner and then Q&A. I will answer all the questions you guys have in that class. I do feel that by taking that class, you will be well prepared to join into a practice circle and to have some confidence coming in. If you didn't hear about it on last week's episode, yes, I have a Mediumship 101 class, and if you have zero experience, I am going to recommend that you take that first. Next up, we have our group mediumship demonstration. Will be happening on March 12th, so that's coming up really quick. I do still have some spots left. If you've been curious or you want to look into it, it's a very low cost to join, and it's a 60-minute Zoom where I'll be connecting you with your loved ones on the other side. I will pass along evidence and then short messages for as many people as I can in the 60 minutes. I will do my best to get through everyone, but not everyone is guaranteed a reading, so I do have to include that in there. They're just a beautiful evening for messages and love and spirit and a few tears. I really cherish them and look forward to them every other month. Okay, and then the last thing is I want to just kind of shout out the services that I have. If you're not aware, I do offer mediumship readings, Akashic record readings, spirit guide connections, where I connect you with your spirit guides. I have to do a whole episode on that because it's been wild. And I also do spiritual awakening sessions. So if you're in the midst of one, or you think you're in one, or you're like just wanting clarity, I can meet with you and we can kind of go over everything, validate what's happening, and then build a plan for you to move forward with clarity and be able to take actionable steps. So if you'd like to learn more, you can head over to my website. I'll drop a link down below in the show notes. Yeah, look forward to hearing from you guys. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. So the title says, Manifest Faster with the Gateway Tapes, How to Use the Patterning Audio. We are going to break this down right from the beginning. What is it? How does it work? What can you use it for? I'm going to share some of my own personal experiences, how it's impacted my life. I'll also go over where you can find this and kind of the steps to go through. Also, we'll cover what it doesn't work for, because I do think it's important. I want you to have realistic expectations of what is maybe not included in it. And then, yeah, give you everything you need to know. But most of all, I want to share some of my own personal experiences, which I wasn't really comfortable sharing before, but I feel a lot better about it now and can have some tangible results for you to hear. Also, I have non-measurable ones, which are my absolute favorite. So we're going to cover that all in today's episode. So welcome. This is episode number 2 on the Gateway Tapes. We're going to be covering the patterning audio. This is what you would use for manifesting. That's the Monroe Institute calls it patterning, but it is the same as manifesting. And then, as I mentioned before, I did do a previous episode. I'm going to pop it up here if you're on YouTube. If you're listening in podcast format, it'll be down in the show notes. This is the first episode I did. I was not 100% confident talking about it, even though I was using it in my life. I do feel better where I am in my journey to discuss this. So if you do go back to that episode and you didn't catch it before, please understand, I think I'd only been doing it for like 2 months. I was just so new to the Gateway Tapes. I think it's a great place to start if you want to learn some more about them in general and, how I was brought to them, things like that. Now, what are the Gateway Tapes and their purpose? I think this is important for us to discuss. I use the Gateway Tapes to deepen my meditation and further my connection with Source, as well as manifesting and sometimes remote viewing. Those are my 2 fun ones. Now, there are many reasons people may use the tapes. This could be for, like I said, remote viewing, healing, OBEs, out-of-body experiences, interdimensional communication, astral travel. Truly, there is so many reasons, and there's so many different audios that take you through this journey, and it's absolutely amazing. I don't even think I've made it halfway through the audios, and I was just really content with what I had accomplished, what I was experiencing in the lower tapes. My interests at this time are not to finish the tapes at this point, but in the future I may seek to do so. How does patterning work for manifestation? The Monroe Institute, I'm going to go like this is what I found. The Monroe Institute refers to a technique using their hemisync technology, which involves listening to specific binaural beat audio patterns designed to guide the brain into altered states of consciousness, allowing individuals to intentionally cultivate specific mental and emotional states, essentially patterning their brain wave activity to achieve desired outcomes like increased focus, relaxation, or creative thinking. I need to also tell you guys, I got to add this in because I'm going to forget. I didn't put it into my notes. I actually, how do I explain this? My Mediumship 101 class came to me through a patterning session. So that was really neat. It just happened a few weeks ago, and literally everything I needed to know came through. And there's a point in the audio when you do it where you kind of sit in that theta state, and that's where it came through. So I've had a lot of really big ideas, revelations that have come through. Again, highly recommend the tapes. What they don't say is they don't make promises about the manifestation, because those are some really bold statements to make. What I would do is maybe read through comments online or the Reddit group on the Gateway Tapes and read some of the results that people have got through patterning. It is mind-blowing. And even what I've experienced in my own life, what I read of others actually doesn't surprise me anymore, because I'm like, man, I've seen such big change in my own life through them that I would believe anything at this point. I believe you can accomplish anything through them. I truly do. Now, what has patterning brought into my life? And I think I should share this so that you have some ideas of how I've utilized it and what I've been able to attract into my life using them. First off, I was able to attract a substantial amount of money, and I'm talking over $50,000. This is not from my business. I need to specify this was not from my business. This is other personal sources. Now, I think I kind of alluded to it in the first episode. I still cannot share the sources because it's very personal to my family, but please trust me when I say that we were able to attract over $50,000, and this happened in a very short period of time. I've also been able to attract where I want to live. Abundance in so many different forms. Like, it's mind-blowing the amount of areas of my life that I've been able to attract abundance. And a lot of non-measurable ways, like clarity, peace, calmness, connection, decisiveness, healing, happiness. My whole outlook on life has completely changed from using these tapes and these audios, and part of it is going to go to this patterning. So not only has patterning completely changed my life, I only use it 2 to 3 times a month. So it's not a huge commitment. Once you work your way up through the tapes to get to the patterning audio, you don't have to do this all the time. 2 to 3 times a month for the monthly one. And there is a yearly one that I try and do once a month. This is my go-to way to manifest things into my life. It is probably the most used tool that I have for manifestation, and I like it for many reasons, which we'll discuss later. But what I have found through my journey is that manifestation with the tapes isn't necessarily about like things that I want. For me, it's all about feelings and emotions that are brought from life, like things that I just can't explain, those non-measurable things, right? That abundance, that happiness, that love, all those things, those are feelings. And when you start to have abundance of that, you start to be okay in certain areas of your life. I feel like what I want and what I'm working on for my 1-year patterning is more just like freedom, work-life balance, spending more time outside, feeling fulfilled and complete. And not that I don't right now, but there's a certain feeling I'm achieving, and when I have those specific things, I know that I will reach that point, and I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right, let's go over the basics of the Gateway Tapes. Who is Robert Monroe, and why did the Monroe Institute create the Gateway experience? This is like a very valid question that a lot of people have when they first hear about this. Robert Monroe was a radio broadcasting executive who became a pioneer in exploring altered states of consciousness after he experienced spontaneous out-of-body experiences, and we call those OBEs. His research led to the development of HemiSync, a sound technology designed to synchronize the brain hemispheres and induce a deep meditative state. He founded the Monroe Institute to study human consciousness and created the Gateway Experience, a structured audio program that helps individuals expand awareness, explore non-physical realities, and enhance their spiritual growth. And I think this is perfectly worded. This is exactly what I have experienced through them. And I feel like there's been hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, that have also experienced the same thing through the tapes. So you're probably wondering, what is HemiSync technology and how does it shift brainwave states? So we've talked about brainwave states in a few previous episodes. I'm not going to link them all right now, but I feel like the last month we've spent a lot of time talking about this. HemiSync, or hemispheric synchronization, is a sound technology developed by the Monroe Institute that uses specific binaural beats to synchronize the left and right hemispheres. This shifts brainwave states into deeper levels of consciousness, helping users achieve meditation, focus, and those out-of-body experiences. I feel like most people that come to the tapes are seeking OBEs. Like, that is probably one of the most common outcomes I think people want. The meditation and focus is really what I use it for. I have explored OBEs. I've had a couple myself, but they're not something that I'm like passionate about and that I'm always seeking to do. So yeah, I definitely achieve the meditation focus part. The tapes are structured into waves, and each is designed to deepen consciousness and expand awareness. You must, and I need to emphasize, you must complete waves 1 and 2 before reaching the patterning audio. This process is going to take you a few weeks, okay? So you need to be prepared that there's some preparatory work before you get to the patterning, but it's very much worth it. And I think it's nothing but positive benefits going through both wave 1 and wave 2. And you'll understand once you start why this is the recommendation. You just can't jump into the patterning audio without any experience of doing the tapes. There is a preparatory process that you need to do before getting into that state, and it does take a little bit of time to learn it. And that's going to depend on your ability to pick it up and to be able to get into that state. So each person, very personal. I think you're looking at minimum, 2 to 3 weeks to do this. Now, what is a patterning audio? I know it probably sounds crazy. It's almost like a manifestation audio, but in the Monroe Institute, they call it patterning. Wave 2, track 3 patterning is the audio that you will be working towards. There is also a 1-year patterning, which I do once a month. Again, I'm sure it sounds like I'm speaking a different language. Once you access them and you start going through them, all of this will make sense. The Monroe Institute's definition of patterning: the way to imprint goals into consciousness and align with desired outcomes. Everyone is different and works with energy differently, as well as having different blockages, different mental blockages, different energetic blockages. I do hope that this helps others in the same way that it has helped me. Definitely helping me raise my consciousness and align with desired outcomes. Now you're probably asking as well, how does this differ from traditional manifestation techniques like scripting, visualization, affirmations? This is a really good question, and I think that it needed its own part, because most people are used to manifestation techniques being through scripting, visualization, and repetitive affirmations. Now, here are the differences. Patterning is a deep altered state. It uses the hemisync technology to access those expanded states of consciousness, and that's unlike traditional methods that rely on wakeful focus. So every other way of manifestation, you're doing while you're awake, and you're like doing repetitive patterns with patterning through the gateway tapes. This is done through a deep altered state of meditation. The other one is energetic imprinting, and I didn't get it until I started doing this, and I was like, this is like the magic factor in manifestation. So instead of just visualizing, you're actually imprinting a mental blueprint into your consciousness. It's in that really relaxed, meditative state, but yeah, you create this, it's like a mental blueprint, really, and it just imprints it on you. And then you kind of let it go. So less repetition is needed. Unlike scripting or affirmations, which require frequent repetition, patterning works by charging on intention once in an altered state. Like I said, I do like to do it 2 to 3 times a month for my monthly ones. Patterning actually encourages you to detach from the outcome, trusting that the subconscious and higher self will align you with the intention. Once you're going through the patterning and you're going through the different parts of it, they actually ask you to release it. And you envision yourself releasing this manifestation, this patterning out from your body. And when you do that, you detach from it, which also is like, I think, another little key thing to your manifestations coming true. And then the last one is aligned with Monroe's research. So developed from studies of consciousness and out-of-body experiences rather than law of attraction methods. A lot of people that you're going to find on YouTube and social media, they're going to teach the law of attraction. And don't get me wrong, I still use the law of attraction in my life. I do still do some affirmations, some visualizations, but not to the degree that they would teach you to get results. I will say majority of my results are coming from the gateway tapes patterning audio. Now, how does it work? It's pretty basic, actually. You're just going to enter into a deep meditative state through the tapes. They guide you through it and your brain goes to it. Like, trust me when I say this stuff works. Even if you do not like meditation, it is hard to not fall into this state listening to these audios. And then what it does is creates a mental blueprint of what you want, what you desire, what you're manifesting, what you're patterning, and energizing that pattern with focused intention. And then once you do that, you let it go in the meditation, in the tape, and then they bring you out. And the tape takes, I think, about 35 minutes to go through. The Monroe has also set out some best practices for using the patterning technique effectively. I think there's like 7 or 8. So the first one is complete waves 1 and 2 first. Yes, unfortunately, you need to go through that process. You need a strong foundation of focus 10, which is mind awake, body asleep, and focus 12, which is expanded awareness, before going into the patterning. Again, I probably sound like I'm speaking a different language, but it makes sense once you start these tapes. Also, you can get access to all of the files through a Reddit thread. I'll drop it down below. There's also like a manual and a how-to that explains everything. I feel like you would find a lot of those specific answers in there as well. The next is be clear and specific. That's so important. Create a detailed mental image of your desired outcome, including emotions, sensory details, and the end result. I love doing that part. Engage all senses. Visualize, hear, feel, and even experience your goal as if it has already happened. And this all happens through the meditation. You're going to use a detachment mindset. Set the intention, then release attachment to how and when it will manifest. You just need to trust it's going to happen. Next is avoid negative or forceful wording. Focus on positive, present tense statements rather than what you don't want, right? Always make sure you're focusing on what you're wanting, what you are looking for. And then repeat periodically. While patterning doesn't require daily repetition like affirmations, occasional reinforcement can strengthen the imprint. I'm going to just tell you what I do, but you can pick and choose what works best for you. I do the monthly, 2 to 3 times a month. That seems to be working quite sufficiently for me. And then the last one is trust the process. The subconscious and higher self work outside of linear time. Time does not exist. It's just a construct that we've created ourselves. Results may unfold in unexpected ways, and you just have to be aware of that. Yeah. Time doesn't exist. Everything is possible. You can create your own reality. I think through the gateway tapes, through the patterning audio, you will start to see this more and more in your life. The next thing I want to talk about is what the patterning audio is not. Okay, this is what it's not. These are common misconceptions. It is not a shortcut to instant results. I'm going to say that again. It is not a shortcut to instant results. It does require practice and alignment. You do need to be able to get into that state, that proper state for it to work. If you work your way through the tapes and you're still not able to get into that theta state, that body asleep, mind awake, then you need to keep practicing. And that may be where it takes a little bit longer for some people than others. Another one is it doesn't replace the inner work. Okay? You must be in tune with your intuition. You must already be working through things within yourself, okay? When I talked earlier about the blockages that you may have within your life and energetically, that's the inner work you need to do. Releasing those blockages, those limiting beliefs. If you do not believe this is possible, that is a blockage that you carry, and it's one that's going to be in your way while doing this. So you have to work on letting those go, releasing them. And then the last one, it's not for controlling others or forcing specific outcomes. You cannot pattern for other people. You can only do for yourself and your own life. If there are others that you feel like this would be beneficial for, you could share it with them and encourage them to do this as well. And then the important one is that detachment and trusting the process rather than obsessing the results. So you cannot be obsessed. And that also goes, I think, with manifestation. You have to be able to just believe it's going to happen and not obsess about it every day. Energy stopper. And I talk about that with mediumship. There's 2 ways to block your mediumship. One is to believe that it's not possible. And the second one is to want it too bad. I think that goes for any type of energy work. You must look at it with a sense of detachment as well. I wanted to share a little bit of my own personal experience with patterning and how I use the audio for manifestation. I personally got some really crazy results when I started. Yeah, I did pattern over $50,000. I know that sounds crazy. I wish I could share everything, but like I said, it's just very personal to my own family. It came from 3 different sources. We were able to use that money in a positive way. We paid off my vehicle, which I had just bought a few months prior. We also paid off the mortgage on our mountain properties. There were 2 big things that money went towards, and I think that just was all aligned with what my goals were. Another way that is measurable is that I grew my business. I went from 500 followers on Instagram to over 50,000 now, and I'm going to attribute the patterning. That is something that I was trying to pattern with success in my business, being able to reach more people, help more people. I also was able to start growing my YouTube if you are not aware of how YouTube works, you can get monetized through YouTube where you become a paid partner. And I am only a few months away from being monetized on my YouTube channel as well. So if you're listening here on YouTube, thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening to the whole video. It all helps towards the channel. Another one that's measurable is I feel like I have the best clients. My schedule is filled perfectly week after week with meaningful connections, abundance. I've been able to attract I truly believe the best clients into my life. I think that also comes from the patterning as well. It's what I'm putting out there. It's who I want to connect with. How do I want to help people? These are all things that I'm working towards actively when I am patterning. So those are the measurable things. There's probably so many more that I don't even remember, or that I've just become so used to good things happening. I truly do. I feel like there's things that shock me and surprise me, but there's so many things now that I just know are a part of it, that this is part of the path. This is living aligned. This is living intuitively. Everything just starts to really flow easily. That's the best way I could describe it. Everything really starts to flow. My favorite ones are the non-measurable pieces. These are the things that I cannot measure and quantify for you, but they are things that I feel like have been attracted into my life. One thing that we're working towards is our dream location. We're getting really close to that happening. I will share details as soon as I can. The non-measurable things would be happiness. And when I say happiness, I mean happiness that like flows through us and flows through our family. I'm not kidding when I say it. There's been a whole family shift for us, definitely. Especially I feel it for myself. And I think that has impacted everyone else in our family. And the way I look at it is no matter what is happening in our lives, no matter what stresses are happening, I mean, problems arise all the time. That's life. We always remain so grateful and full of love. And yeah, since using the tapes, that truly has changed my life and my ability to handle big situations, big problems, big conversations. Cannot attribute it enough. And then it's like the love, the peace, the calm, the resilience, the abundance, the gratitude, all of those things I can't measure or quantify for you, but I experience them on a daily basis. And that was part of my patterning. That is how I pattern now. That's what I am looking for, those qualities in my life, not necessarily like things or destinations or like specific, I always call them just things that I'm working towards. It's more like feelings and wholeness and what do I want in my life? What do I want to experience emotionally? And then just to go over one more time, I know I've talked about this a few times, but I just want to reiterate how I use them. I use the 1 month patterning 2 to 3 times a month, probably closer to 3. I try and do it once a week, but there's usually 1 week a month that I don't get it accomplished. For the yearly one, I try and do that once a month, okay? So those are 2 separate ones. Realistically, I'm probably doing it 4 times a month, including the yearly one. And this seems to be working the best for me, looking at the results I've received, looking at my life, and like I said, those non-measurables, I feel like this is doable for me and also giving me the results that I want. And then I don't pattern for material things anymore. I'm going for those immeasurable feelings: love, wholeness, content, peace, gratitude, community, wisdom, serving, and so many more. So my tip to you, if you are starting this, go with those feelings. Go with those specific feelings that you are wanting, those emotions, those state of minds that you're wanting, and go for those as desired outcomes. See what it brings you. Truly, that's it. The information is pretty basic. The next part is you exploring, going through the waves, learning, and trying it yourself. I hope that this episode inspires you, kind of gives you the push that this is attainable, that you too can seek this and do this, and that there are hundreds of thousands of people doing this process right now. You can head over to the Reddit group. I'm going to drop a link down below. The Reddit group title is gateway tapes, and there's tons of information there. There's also a resource page, and that walks you through how to get access to the tapes. So there's two ways you can do it. You can go through the Reddit group, or you can go to the Monroe Institute. I will say through the Monroe Institute, you do have to pay for them. And through the Reddit page, there's some resources where you can get free access to them. I've been using that access. So I just want to specify that's the way I'm going. And there's a how-to to do it in there as well. So I'll drop that in there. I hope this helps you on your journey. It's part 2 to our gateway talk, and just inspires people that are needing a little inspiration right now. It is possible. I think when you start to energetically align with your future self and become laser focused in what you want and use that imprinting and that blueprint, I believe you can get results. I believe you can get absolutely crazy, shocking results. You just have to build the process up. You just have to get there. Then once you learn it all, you can do it like me and just do a couple times a month and see where it takes you. I'm really excited. If you have used the patterning audios before and have had some results, I would love for you to drop down below. I know my last episode brought some people that were already interested in the gateway tapes and using them. So if you are finding me just by interest of gateway tapes and it's something that you already use, I'd love to hear your comments on it. I'd love to hear your experiences. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down below as well. I'm going to take this moment to say, if you haven't already followed or subscribed, please do so now so you don't miss any of the content, any of these episodes. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to let you guys go. Also, if you haven't noticed, I'm using a new microphone. This is the 4th microphone system I've gone through. My last one kind of crapped out on me last week, and I'm trying this wireless one. So I hope everything sounds good. We're always growing, right? Always growing, trying new things. All right, guys, I am going to head out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for walking this path with me. And I will see you next week on Finding Spirit. Bye.